Growing up as a kid in Nebraska, I played all kinds of sports, including that sport that seems to hold the state's passion.
Man, woman, and child did that. Put them in the aisles.
I played all the way up through high school, but I never figured I'd be wearing pads again, and certainly after transition, I didn't think I'd be playing football at all. But then I ran into this. Then I got a little nudge.
Looking forward to seeing you play some next season too.
And that led to this, and this, and this, and this.
Reverse direction here. That's Webb with the touchdown. Karleigh Webb.
It was quite a first season. I was looking forward to 2024, but we didn't have enough players to have a team. But then an old teammate got together and told me there's a new opportunity. There's a new team. They welcomed me in, and along the way, I did this.
Pitches to Karleigh Webb. And she just runs over defenders, and Karleigh Webb is going to take it 29 yards into the end zone for another touchdown.
I met a sister I didn't know I had, and kept up with others like me who play the game. These are our stories. I'd like to introduce you to our panel for this discussion. All of us, including this reporter, actively play on a team in the Women's Football Alliance, the largest and potentially most successful league in this country operating right now. And actually, I want to start with the person who inspired me to get out and ball out.
Hey y'all, Jacqueline Cook, Jackie or J Block here. I play for the Pittsburgh Passion, used to be with the Cleveland Fusion, and I'm wrapping up my third season at the Pittsburgh Passion, ideally in about a month at the National Championships. Gone 6-0 this season. We're top in the conference and looking forward to our home playoff game against the Tampa Bay Inferno.
Well, I can tell you 6-0, it's one of the best chances the Passion have had to win a championship for a while, including finally toppling the Boston Renegades. Quick question on that. How wide open is it in the pro division right now?
On the East Coast side, Boston is not a team to sleep on. They are extremely good. We've obviously shown that we can do it, so we're going to have to bring our A game against them. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, I do think DC could pull it out too against them as well. I feel like all three teams are extremely capable. And I've not had a chance to really watch the DC-Boston game in detail yet, just because it's been busy prepping for Columbus. But it's kind of anyone's game. You got to put in the work, put that effort in on the field and off the field to get ready for those games.
Now to turn it over to a teammate. Paige?
Hello, I am Paige. I have played for 5 years since 2019. Started in Orlando, which was a Division III team, which is a Division III team. And I made the jump to the pro level this year after many years of being asked by, J Block over there. And so now I find myself playing with Jackie for the first time. And I believe the first time that two trans women have been on the same team at the same time, but I could be wrong about that. Other than that, I'm just enjoying learning and elevating my game.
Now from Paige, we're going to go to another player who's become a personal favorite of mine because of that nickname.
Absolutely. So my name's Julie All Day. I'm a I guess the current term is offensive weapon for the Columbus Chaos. I have lined up at about 8 different positions on that side of the ball this year. It was a rough season for us. We didn't get off the way we had liked, and by the end we were kind of just doing what we could to get by. I know the last game I was actually our starting quarterback and last remaining quarterback, so there was no safety net there. Absolutely got cleared by Miss Cook over there, who decided to give me a little welcome to the family, so to speak, in my second year here in the WFA.
Last up among the group, and certainly not least, is somebody who I had the opportunity to run into literally. Missy, you're up.
It's Tony from New Hampshire Battalion, number 52, outside linebacker. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I'm back on doing this. Yeah.
And last but not least, when I'm not behind a microphone, I'm playing for the Division III Connecticut Ambush, brand new team in the WFA this year, a combination of 3 teams in Connecticut. And in this opening season, we did pretty well and gave a good account of ourselves going 4-2, but unfortunately missing the playoffs. But in 2025, who knows? We look to turn the other around. I play running back, tight end, defensive end, and linebacker, and all the special teams. For all of you, to begin with, what made you want to play?
So I started playing in high school I liked playing sports. I played all sorts of sports out there, and I had a coach come up in the hallway and say, like, hey, you should give this a shot, which I know is not like a common experience for people out there. I had never really watched football growing up. I was not like a huge football fan, and I didn't even know how the rules worked. People were still explaining it to me a couple years in. But I was a decent athlete. I ended up making all county, played for a really good team, won the league a couple times, and even had college interests and offers and stuff too. Boston College was one of them. And I just fell in love with how mentally interesting it is. It's built upon diversity. You can't have everyone on the same team looking the same, being the same height and weight and athleticism. You're all different types of athletes. If everyone looks the same and is built the same, it's not going to be the best team out there, right? You have to have diversity in the sport. And I also love how cerebral it is. Every game feels like a war mixed with all these different battles. You might win some battles and lose some battles. It's like a chess match every single play.
I was 10 years old. I started playing Pop Warner. I played only 3 days, but a couple of, 30, 20 years later, my teammate from the Violent Femmes asked me, hey, come out, join this team. And I did.
Now, one thing for all of you, I want all of you to ring in this. What was it like for you to walk into this thing? What was the first day of practice like walking in to a team that's mostly or entirely cisgender women?
I knew that I was walking in on a team that had a trans woman at least. So that gave me a little more confidence that the team was going to be cool, that they're going to have their act together and understanding the rules and everything like that. I was terrified walking the team because I was almost 40, or 35 or so at that point. When these little athletes may be running circles around me, I'm not going to have a place to fit in. I was in the gym 7 days a week, pushing myself to get faster and stronger and ready to go. And this is before COVID, hoping that I could hang. And I had a spot on the team immediately, but it was just nervous the whole drive up to Cleveland.
Yeah, so I stepped on to our current practice field over in Whitehall and walked out the very first day. I was welcomed by quite a few players. I was nervous. I'll get out. I had no idea what I was walking into. I was like, I'm going to take the time. I heard about the chaos. I was like, I'm going to take this off season. I'm going to get in shape. Next year, I'm going to try out. Then I heard on the radio, oh yeah, there's actually one more tryout this year. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a shot. And walk out there. Within 3 seconds, the coach looks at me and goes, I'm so glad to see you here. And I'm like, okay, I'm welcome here. And also, I am a lineman for you. I understand this now. So we are in short supply in this league sometimes. So it was nice. And thankfully, some of my teammates had been educated and had some possibly not so fun interactions that had they've grown from since before I joined the team. So I've been very lucky that my teammates have been very welcoming and very amazing since the jump.
Coming from Orlando, I'm from Orlando. I'm a Florida native. Orlando went through some terrible tragedy with the pole shooting and everything that happened in 2016. They lost one of their coaches and everything like that. And the team just kind of banded together. And anybody who came in after that, they were welcomed into a very, very tight knit family. And I was the only person on my team. And it was very daunting. It was very scary. I didn't tell anybody. The owner knew, but I did not tell anybody at all that that I was trans because I was like 2 years into my transition at that point, and yeah, this was 2019, but I don't know, like they just welcomed me in, and when I eventually told them, they didn't care. They were just like, "Hey, you're our sister. We've got you." And then when people would say, you know, bad things to me on the field, they held me up, picked me up, and like brought me back, down. And so yeah, I'll always be thankful for the Orlando Anarchy for that. I played in the 2019 championship. I actually played with cracked ribs. We were down to like I think 15 people at that point due to injuries. Tackled a girl, cracked my ribs, couldn't breathe. Still out there playing O line and D line because we only had like 17 or 18 women the entire season. So I played both ways the entire season.
Now, one thing I noticed having played against the Rebellion this year is that Missy, your team loves you. Yep. How vital is that? And also this for all of you and for all of us in a sense. How vital is that to know that your teammates have your back?
Amazing. The first day I walked on that field, shout out to Kristen, Selena Collins, Newlywed. They were the first two welcoming me on that team, especially with Selena. After the board meeting and captain meeting, she came right to my car, said, "Hey, dude, stick around. We want you." And
go on.
She said, "This is faith. We lost a teammate of ours beginning of the year, June last year, January, and you came on, you placed her." So it's like we had a tragedy, a car accident. The girl lost her life, and you know what? A little tear coming down my eyes thinking about how lucky I am to be on the Rebellion.
The way Leah Thomas got treated wouldn't be tolerated probably in any of our teams. Why do you think that is that in a sense, how has this sport kind of gotten ahead of the curve?
I think we are a little bit blessed by the unknown nature of the sport. I think it's a shame. I want women's tackle football to have like real backing and real support. Sorry, my dog is mooing like a cow in the background. But you're not seeing the support from like how the WNBA has it from the NBA, or like how like women's pro soccer is getting same pay as men's pro soccer in the US. Like we're not seeing the same level of support from the country overall. So therefore, by the sport and the league flying under the radar, I think we're flying under the radar a little bit too. But I still feel like there's a target on my back every time I walk on the field too, regardless of who all is supporting me on my team and on other teams.
What about the rest of you? Do you also feel that? Because I mean, there is that scrutiny.
I mean, yeah, all it takes is one hit, right? All it takes is one play. Former player that doesn't play anymore for the Boston Renegades, Ali Gennaro, right? She was a monster at linebacker, and the amount of stuff that would go on, right? It's one hit, one bad play, one whatever, and not to say like we're the next Leah Thomas, right? But we could be like the next viral sensation, right? And so, like Jackie said, it's very daunting to even put on the pads, because all it takes is one person to say the wrong thing at the right time, or the wrong time or whatever, and like there you go. Now you're out in front of everybody.
How do you all feel about the possibility that when you walk in that field, you not only represent yourself and your team, you in some ways do you ever feel like at times I'm representing that Azure Salmon and Cream too? I'm representing who we are as a community. And in fact, one person in this room took that representation to one of the ultimate levels. And yes, Julie, I'm talking about you. Doing it on the Ohio Senate floor, speaking some serious truth.
With my job, I'm not really afforded to not be representing the community. As a member staff who is supporting so much of our queer youth in Columbus, I really felt like I had to step up in that moment. And that, to speak to what you were saying before about teammates supporting you, my teammates and my organization supported me every step of the way with that. I got permission to wear that chaos jersey on the, in the state house to give that that testimony to them. And I know that it can paint a bit of a target on me. I know that my size and how I play the game can put a target on me. And I don't know what happens in other teams' film rooms, but I get the feeling that I get spotlighted a few times. And in a way, I've kind of, especially in this last game and this last season, I've started to kind of lean into it by, understanding that I am a representation of not just my team, my city, who I am, but also this community as a whole. And I want to do what I can to make sure that I'm visible in that way. So, I was wearing the trans colors on my cleats all season. I had a wristband on during our most recent game. And it's little things like that that just feels silly to mention at all. But, when we're talking about all the ways that we're visible and all the ways that people speculate before they get a chance to meet us because they see how we play, they see how you move, they see how you hit. I want to make sure that I maintain ownership of my story, of who I am, and to give that space to everyone else to own their own story and not let people create a narrative about them.
What was each of yours I belong here moment? Some on-field player, whatever, where you realize that, yeah, this is where I should be. I belong here.
All right. First year at Pittsburgh, Aaron Truex from the Boston Renegades, who was one of the hosts from the Cleat Sheets podcast too. When we were going through and high-fiving and GGing at the end, she pulled me aside, gave me a hug, and talked softly in my ear saying, don't let anyone ever tell you you're not allowed on this field. You belong to be on here as much as anyone else on this field. And that's after we'd been battling all night long, right? I think I had her handprint on my arm that night and bruises. I cried on the spot.
I do want to talk about the I belong moment. I want to get on that because it wasn't just an I belong moment. It was a we belong moment, because I remember that week leading up to that game, Manchester ink paper story, reading about, it's like the rebellion has a trans woman on their team. And I was like, and my team was there. I was hyped up. I could not wait to meet this person. And I remember kickoff, and I see you 10 yards away. And I just beamed with a big smile saying, this is all. I was like, I cannot wait for this. This is going to be fun. For you, what was that like, knowing that, okay, there's one of me, granted, wearing another uniform, and I want to knock her the hell on out, but still, that's a sister on the other side. And by the way, 4 tackles that night, and I was on the receiving end of 3 of those.
Yeah, that was a special moment. And honestly, I saw you just a player, another player. I didn't care what uniform you're on. I saw you as a player. You're a player playing against me. I'm going after you. That's all I saw it as. And when you came up to me and said, "Hey, good job, sister," I was like, "Holy crap! I'm playing against a trans person."
We had to do that. That's just another thing. When you do have to play against each other, what, for all of you, what is it like? And Julie, I want to start with you, because you got it pretty up close this week. I mean, getting to play a person who's not only getting to play against a pro team, but getting to play against somebody who's, she won't say it, but I will, has inspired a lot of us in this thing.
Yeah, that was it was a very special moment for me personally, because I don't know if there's any other trans women on the teams I've played against. Like I said, it's my second year in the league, and to step up and watching the game film was probably the most nerve-wracking time of my life, because I see that they have a front where there's Miss Cook and Miss Page there standing right next to each other, 63 and 65, and I go, I'm the quarterback here. This is not going to be a fun time. And I believe that this one here is a particularly bad time for me. Yeah, so we're running the option, and
Oh God.
Oh,
Jacqueline, really? Really?
like I said, I got welcomed into the pro level game there very quickly.
Jacqueline, really?
My
Really?
highlight reel is just getting up after Jacqueline hits me. So and that was probably the bigger hit. The second one later on, though, was the one that actually was like the one I'm still feeling, because we ran that same play the other direction, and she almost takes me out with the center. But then after that, she just swarms me from behind and lands on top of me. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna survive this. But no, it was a great time, and I had such a good time being able to share the field with two amazing people who have done so much for the game. And I know Paige will never take the flowers that she is truly owed, but
Well, Julie, what was you doing as an option quarterback? That's what I want to know.
you know,
Option
sometimes,
quarterback.
hey,
You're looking like Kirk Herbstreit at Centerville High.
you know, so that is a secret, is that I'm actually not a terrible quarterback in the right circumstances. The wrong circumstances is on a week's preparation against the number one team in the country. Don't recommend that as a quarterback, but so we had been practicing this option throughout the season. We've shown it a couple times throughout the year, but our starting quarterback was no longer with the team. Our second quarterback was injured the week before, and we were left with a QB me.
What's the one thing in this season you'll never forget?
Eating Boston. And at that note, I gotta go. But a quick plug: Paige left Florida. Florida was so hostile, so she has bad own experience of fleeing. But I gotta jump to go to a film session. It's a pleasure talking to all y'all.
We played a team this year that I never really had, not to say it's never happened, but it's never been like this bad before. The stuff that's been said to me on the field by multiple teams, but one team in particular, I don't really want to name the team, but they are a playoff bound team, and they said some horrific things to both Jackie and myself, and refused to shake our hands in the line. And I got upset, right? Like I got frustrated, and I started, I just walked away. Like I was like, I'm done with football. I'm done with the sport. I don't want to do it anymore. And I took off my gear and I walked away from the huddle at the end of the game, after we won. And we have this thing in Pittsburgh called what is it called? The rookie vet program or something, or adopt a rookie program.
Adopt a rookie program.
Yeah, adopt a rookie program. And so I have this vet. Now I've been playing football longer than this vet has been playing football herself, but she's a Pittsburgh vet and I'm a Pittsburgh rookie. So she grabs me and we just take off and we just walk to the other side. And it just so happened to be that my teammates from Orlando surprised me. At like 5 or 6 of them just showed up, didn't even tell me that they were coming to the game. And it was my first time back in Florida, and they saw what happened. Everybody came up, like a few other people from Pittsburgh came up, and they just said, you keep your head up high. You belong on this field. Don't let anybody, tell you otherwise. And that was the moment that I realized that I changed people's outlooks on trans women in sports, especially football, because a lot of those people that were there used to have differing opinions before they saw me play, before they played next to me, before they saw that there wasn't really an advantage or anything like that. So I had about 8 or 9 people holding me up on one of the worst nights that I have played football, and I will never forget that.
You know, like there's the stereotypical answers, like just the resilience of this team has been really what it was this year. It difficult doesn't begin to describe some of the trials and tribulations we had, but I think I came off the field uh after I gotten a couple as believe they call them J blocks over there in Pittsburgh when Jacqueline takes you out a little bit. But I come off of after a couple of those and a couple turnovers, and my teammates just kind of all came up to me at one point and just like, "Hey, you're stepping up, you're doing this. Thank you. Like, stop beating yourself up. Let's just try to have some fun here." And so for the rest of the game, that's just what we did. And so it was just really, really special to have that moment of like, even though it had been, we lost 63-0, it was a solidarity moment of just like, yeah, we're in this together, and it's still special to spend that time with your friends, your family, and the people who have your back in so many different ways.
I have three. First one,
All right.
my tackle in the beginning of that game. That was a huge thing for our community. Second one, my first sack ever in WFA. I could hear Celine Collins still screaming my name on the sidelines. And third, getting respect from Coach Rossi, knowing I'm a great player that he has.
One happened this past weekend. It was our pride game. We had a pride game, and it was the first time that I ever wore the colors on the field. That was the first time I ever wore them. The first time I ever wore. And not only that, my teammates, because I had a bunch of trans flag arm sleeves, and my teammates wore them. So my teammates wore them. Sherelle Allen, yes, I'm shouting you out. Erica Voda, who was our leading receiver for the game, she had some great catches in that game, and she's wearing one of my trans flag arm sleeves in the game. And of course, Derby Anderson, who is wonderful, welcoming young person on our team. She was the first one to ask, can I wear one? But also in the stands, Fallen Fox was at the game. Yeah, that Fallen Fox was at the game. She lives outside the Boston area right now. She lives outside of Boston. And I told her about I told her I had a couple games coming up. Hey, if you want to attend, come out. And she came out to our pride game.